Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
I was about to suggest anchoring up and trying to catch some big sturgeon, and I know some guys are doing that and catching some real nice fish, and that's pretty much going to be your only option up at Lake of the Woods on the Rainy River now, isn't it?
Yeah, other than suckers.
And suckers, yeah.
But and I'll tell you what, for sturgeon season, so right now it's and the sturgeon are biting. I mean, we saw that when we were up there. But right now it's catch and release, only. And then I'm looking at my dates. Actually, come April 24th is when you can start the keep season. And your keep season, you buy a tag for $5, and you can keep one sturgeon per calendar year. It's got to be between 45 to 50 inches or over 75. You got to take that fish and register it within 48 hours. Mm-hmm. And it's really kind of neat because for people that do want to keep a sturgeon, if you catch one in the right size, again, most people smoke them. And that meat is a very delicious, rich meat. And, the DNR monitors how many fish are kept. They have an idea of how many, and the sturgeon population is extremely healthy. So if somebody would want to keep one, it's certainly within your realm to do that.
Yeah, they would close that if the fishery wasn't in such great shape. And part of the reason it is, it's a really neat story about how that river was cleaned up there, Joe.
Oh, man. Well, the Clean Water Act came into play. And, before then, like in the 50s and 60s, there was, back before there was a lot of regulations, there's a paper mill upstream at the dam in I Falls, and there was a lot of pulp that was coming downstream. And that pulp was, anglers would tell you, and there you can see actually a picture of all that.
That picture is amazing.
Just incredible.
What's he doing there, Joe?
Well, I think what he's doing is he's digging down in that pulp to get to the river.
To get to the river.
Yeah. Look how deep that pulp is. It's up to his waist. And that's just pulp that have accumulated along shore. You used to talk to people that would fish the Rainy River, Brett, and they'd have to reel up every once in a while to clean their lines off because it would accumulate on their lines as it was going downstream. And it was pretty tough. But I think in the early 70s, if I'm not mistaken, they came out with the Clean Water Act. And then my understanding is the Clean Water Act came out, and then they really started enforcing it. They got some teeth behind it. And that is when, industry really started cleaning up. And it was interesting because some of the people that really follow this believed that a lot of the sturgeon would live in the tributaries of the Rainy River to avoid some of the pollution. And then, of course, once the Rainy River started cleaning up, the sturgeon population really started booming. Of course, that was combined with, stopping the commercial netting too. But we can see that the average size of the sturgeon is going up. The numbers of sturgeon are going up. And we really have a very healthy lake sturgeon fishery right now, partly because of the Clean Water Act.
And I know a lot of people want to go up there and catch walleyes because of the chance to catch, the biggest walleye of your life. But some people now are just going up there to catch the biggest sturgeon of their life. They don't even care about the walleyes anymore because you can go up there and catch, a 70 to 80 inch fish, which is unreal. Those are giant fish, and they put up a good fight, and it's easy to do, and it's kind of unique to catch a dinosaur like that, a fish that could be 100 years old potentially. And I think one of the interesting things you could do up there as well, Joe, is there's a time of year when those sturgeon go up the river to spawn. You can actually go and kind of view them and see them stacked up there along the shoreline.
Well, that's exactly right. So the Rapid River, which is just east of Baudette, near Clemenson, they run up that Rapid River. Usually it's in May, I think. And, when they run up the river, it's a spectacle because these huge fish are in shallow water. You can see them clear as day. That's kind of a neat deal. When it comes to the sturgeon fishing, first off, sturgeon fishing isn't that difficult. Basically, you're looking for a hole in the river and you're fishing the deep holes of the river with, like a no rolls, a flat sinker that won't roll in the current. There you see the sturgeon running from last year. But use a no roll sinker, use a sturgeon rig, which is an 18-inch lead of 60-pound test leader material with a 3 to 5/0 circle hook, and you load it up with either crawlers and frozen shiners, and just fish the bottom. And it's amazing when those sturgeon hit. You would think that they'd hit it hard because they're such a big fish, but you can't tell the difference whether it's a sucker or a carp or it's tap, 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 tap. And of course, those circle hooks are so good because they normally, if the sturgeon takes it down kind of deep, that circle hook will slide out and hook that fish in the lips. The other thing I should mention too about sturgeon, which makes them so interesting, is people do call them prehistoric or dinosaurs because their existence is from way back, thousands and thousands of years ago. The other thing that's kind of cool is that, when you catch a real small sturgeon, they have these real sharp, they have a armor on them that's real hard to protect them. And on the sides of them, they have these sharp, almost bone-like structures called scutes. And they're very sharp. You almost have to be careful when you handle them. There's a small one there that would have the sharp scutes. What happens is when those sturgeons start getting older, those scutes start getting filed down, I guess. They're not quite as sharp, but then their sheer size protects them from predators. And it's really quite interesting. And they're just and they fight, man. You talk about catching a 70 to 80 inch sturgeon. That's a monster sturgeon. That's a big sturgeon. They're in there. We know they are because, the DNR has netted them and people have caught them and released them. Realistically, if you go up sturgeon fishing, real good chance you're going to catch a fish that's 40, 50, 60 inches long. That in its own right is a heck of a fight. You won't believe the power these fish have until you hook on. And Brett, it's relaxing. I mean, you're anchoring up in a hole of the river. You're kicking back, pitching your rod out, and just kind of put it in the rod holder or lean it against the side of the boat and just kind of tighten the line up and watching it. It's just so relaxing. It's pretty. The migration's going on. It's just cool.
Yep, it's a lot of fun. It's an amazing fishery up there, and the clean water success story, I think, is a great one, and serves as a great example of what can be accomplished in our fisheries around the world, for that matter. Joe, if people want to learn more about Rainy River fishing or making a summer trip to Lake of the Woods, what should they do?
Even advice on how to catch sturgeon, we have a whole page on it. Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts. Northern Minnesota's Walleye Factory is a year-round world-class fishing destination. The perfect getaway this summer is just a short drive to Lake of the Woods. Fish Big Traverse Bay, the Rainy River, or visit the unique Northwest Angle. To catch big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com.